Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Keenan. I am a solutions consultant at LinkedIn, and I'm also the co-leader of the New York City Veteran Employee Resource Group. And I'm here with Darren today, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to interview, and so some great takeaways. So I'm going to let Darren introduce himself because he has a lot to talk about, and his experience in the Army as well. So Darren, can you tell us what your role is at LinkedIn, what your role is in the Employee Resources Group, and what your role was in the Army?
Sure. I'm Darren Sumter. I've been here at LinkedIn for about 2.5 years now. I'm currently a global account manager in our Talent Solutions Group. I'm also the co-chair of our Veterans ERG here at LinkedIn, and I've been in other activities around veterans groups as well. I'm also on the board of a nonprofit called 4 Block.
Awesome. And you didn't tell us that you were a West Point grad, did you?
Correct, yeah. So I went to West Point back in, I graduated in 1988. I served 5 years in the Army. I was in the aviation branch. I was an Apache helicopter pilot, and I served in the first Gulf War.
Okay, I didn't even know that. So.
You didn't know? Okay.
No, yeah, thank you.
Right.
So Darren obviously has had a very distinguished career. He also left out that he graduated Harvard Business School and has worked in so many different organizations as a sales professional. And so he's going to give us some advice on how to interview. And I know in the military, a lot of times we focus so much on teams. And actually in the corporate world, sometimes you actually need to take a little bit more ownership. So can you give us some advice on how to interview and what to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So if I start with a story first, when you first join the military, it starts with basic training. They teach you to support the team, to work as we, to stop being an individual. And during whatever amount of time you spend in the military, that concept gets reinforced. But when you leave the military, things change a little bit, culturally speaking. And it's not deliberate. There's a great desire in any organization to have someone who works with the team. But when you're trying to enter an organization, they want to know what you do, what you've achieved. And many veterans sometimes just naturally speak in terms of teams, and sometimes that puts them at a bit of a disadvantage. So prior to entering into any interview, I would recommend you think about the achievements you've had, and you practice, and you think about your contributions and the net result, so that once you're in your interview, you're able to give the interviewer an understanding of your contributions. You really have to, as a veteran, think about that, because the person on the other side of the table won't necessarily understand, having not been through the military experience, won't understand and won't necessarily be able to translate the fact that, yeah, while you worked as a team and you made contributions, all they may hear is what the team did and not what you did. And that'll put you at a disadvantage to other candidates who have a different vernacular around talking about their achievements and their experiences.
Yeah, it's something I still struggle with, so very good advice. And then the other thing that we wanted to talk about before we close out today is Darren had some advice for hiring managers. So I think, if you're in the space and you're working especially to recruit veterans, how to think about their experiences and what they're bringing to your organization. So what are your thoughts for hiring managers?
Yeah, so my thoughts for hiring managers is you have a big responsibility. I know you're very busy. You've got to deliver whatever it is for your business. But if you happen to have a veteran on your docket of interviews, spend a little time thinking about and trying to educate yourself about what actually goes on in the military. There are a lot of resources for that on LinkedIn, on our learning platforms. There are many of them. There are many other organizations that educate hiring managers on things about the military and what goes on in the military and what the different jobs are and what the different roles are. Like anyone else, people will default to a syntax, especially when they're nervous. And sometimes veterans may throw out acronyms or terms that you might not understand. But it's worth your while to spend a little bit of time trying to learn some of those things prior to actually conducting your interview with your veteran. And the reason is, in my view, I spent a lot of time at a lot of different organizations, and one of the organizations I worked at, there was a neuroscientist there, and he talked about the human brain. And not that I became a neuroscientist, but one of the things I learned is that the human brain and humans are generally speaking lazy learners. So information that's fed to you tends to stick. That's why advertising works, right? So you have to be a little bit active in your effort to learn. So otherwise, you may as well default to things that you've been told that are false. And so, you get things through movies or through other medium that actually don't actually represent what goes on in the military. So I would recommend any hiring manager spend a little time trying to educate themselves about some of the roles that are in the military and some of the tasks that they do and some of the responsibility that they have and some of the cultural values that they can bring to your organization that they can really add a lot of value to your business.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I actually am going to link the LinkedIn learning videos for hiring managers to watch. And we also have another one if you're a candidate that touches a little bit about the interviewing skills that Darren mentioned. So I'll put those in the comments as well, so you can check those out. So thank you, Darren. Thank you for your service and your leadership. And we'll see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.